Can anyone tell me the difference between disciplining a child and child abuse? Who remembers being spanked as a child at home or at school? Were you put out for a parent or guardian's need to receive a spanking? Do you remember the sound of your dad unbuckling his belt and realizing that you were now in big trouble? The state of Florida has protective investigators which work as part of the Child Protective Team to investigate instances of child abuse. In my speech, I will describe the definition of child abuse. I will also define the protective investigators and the child protection team that they belong to. Finally, I will describe some of the background checks that these agents have come to. The 2017 Florida statutes defines child abuse as any willful or threatened act that results in physical, mental, sexual abuse, injury, or harm. Physical child abuse, as described by childhelp.org, is a non-accidental physical injury caused by a parent or other caregiver. Physical discipline that does not injure a child is not considered abuse. I will set my focus on physical child abuse. Physical child abuse can consist of numerous different violent actions. Some of these heinous acts of child abuse can consist of choking, whipping, and hair pulling, just to name a few. These horrific acts of violence towards them may cause or are likely to cause a child's physical, mental, or emotional health to be significantly impaired. Although the signs may not always seem apparent, certain physical elements such as an explanation for an injury that doesn't make sense can lead us to suspect child abuse. An example of a behavioral characteristic that may lead us to discover abuse could entail a child showing fear towards a parent or other adults. According to childhelp.org, a report of child abuse is made every 10 seconds. Additionally, this organization reports that the physical abuse accounts for 28.3% of the abuse reported. This percentage is the highest among all other forms of abuse. In the United States alone, the 2015 Children's Bureau reports that over 7 million children that had been affected by suspected cases of abuse were referred to the Agency of Child Protective Services. Next, who are the protective investigators and child protective teams? Our state statute describes a protective investigator as an authorized agent of the department who receives and investigates reports of child abuse, abandonment, or neglect. The protective investigator's responsibilities are numerous, some of which include interviewing family members and siblings of the suspected victim. The individual is responsible for properly assessing each and every child's situation and removing the child from the parent or caregiver's custody if deemed necessary. If it is not deemed to be necessary for the removal of the minor, then a safety plan must be implemented in the event of an emergency. The protective investigator belongs to a child protection team. This group of individuals, as defined by Florida law, is a team of professionals established by the Department of Health to receive referrals from the protective investigators of the department to provide specialized and supportive services to the program in processing child abuse, abandonment, or neglect cases. The Child Protection Team needs to conduct a partnership between themselves and other agencies. This team also needs to work hand in hand with law enforcement officials, local communities, and even the court systems to determine what is in the best interest of the child. In order for an individual to become a member of this elite team of investigators, there are background checks and specialized training that they must go through. The publication from the Department of Children and Families website indicates drug testing of all department employees, applicants, volunteers, and contract personnel to perform child investigations based on the Drug-Free Workplace Act. Additionally, the department publication states that the above-mentioned individuals will participate in a written and performance-based testing and evaluation program to ensure competencies of all employees assigned to manage or supervise cases of child abuse. The incidences of physical child abuse are widespread throughout our country. Alas, it is an epidemic that has been around for many decades. Fortunately, there are highly trained agencies and individuals that are dedicated to these causes. Our children are this country's future.